conducted by the police before arresting somebody, we need to be very clear. We've seen so many cases of compensation based on probably the incompetence or the professional misconduct of police. Where, according to your experience, is this breakdown? Do you really feel that the police are being politically sent or intimidated?
Yeah, no, it's both. They are in some cases, and in the case of my case, they are being politically sent as well as directed. These are police officers who would arrest you today without any zero evidence as to why they have arrested you. They sit down to cook up a charge against you. They have zero evidence. While you're inside, they begin to mobilize witnesses against you. They begin to investigate and cook up a case against you. So I stayed in prison, I think, for 3 months. And at some extent, I was following what was happening because, you see, in a normal society, not all people can hate you. Even in government, not all people will be against you. Number two, in any society, not all people will be politically biased. Some people are professional and credible. So it was filtering to us that there was zero evidence, but they were trying to cook it up. So the main delay as to why there is this contradiction is because there are cases, and in this case, where police officers are directed. And in fact, at some point, they don't even know what to do with you when they arrest you. I was arrested for more than a week. There was no charge. The people are simply saying, no, waiting for orders and directives.
From
the people that were keeping me at Woodlands Police had
from the
zero,
police command?
That's the point. At the police at Woodlands Stadium, a station where I was kept, they had zero knowledge about my case. They said, no, we're just holding you, just keeping you. So we are going to wait for orders.
Let's get back, for the sake of, the audience and the viewers this evening, to follow, correctly. You were appointed by President Lungu, if I'm correct, on 20th of December,
exactly.
2019.
Yes.
And the cases that you were charged with are believed to have been committed between February 1st and February 22nd of 2020. Are you telling me that in 2 months or 3 months, you were able to get into State House and mastermind, gassing? What did you know about this whole episode while you were in State House? These things happened on your watch. How does Chris Zumani Zimba get connected to gassing and terrorism charges? 3 months into office.
It's in fact 2 months or less. So to start with, you need to note that our lawyers demonstrated before the court that there was no terrorism which took place in Petauke, where my other 2 co-accused were accused to have been at the point when they were arrested. Police officers, citizens of Petauke, came before the courts as witnesses and gave evidence that there was no gassing or terrorism both in Sinda and in Petauke, where according to the charges, these instances would have taken place. And that's the reason why we were acquitted. So the charges that I was facing with my co-accused were charges which were fabricated, malicious, and indeed false and baseless. The police officers, including the arresting police officer, came to testify that indeed there was no terrorism and there was no gassing in Petauke, where my other 2 co-accused were found. Number 2, the arresting officer also testified before the court that indeed the 2 people, my co-accused, were not gassers and they were not terrorists.
But there were charges of terrorism before the court.
She was asked whether I sponsored terrorism, me as a person, to provide evidence. She could provide zero evidence, and she ended up saying, in fact, he is not a sponsor of terrorism. And these were the questions which our lawyers battled with the state before the court. So, look, these are the charges I've given these people, but you, the people that have given the charges, are failing to advance the evidence.
Just for the sake of the viewers, I've had a chance to look at the court proceedings and some of the documents. Your connection is that you had sent some messages to Given Piri and Marlon Banda. In the process, you had given them an assignment into the district and so on, and they were found with some chemicals or liquid. Let's run through that.
Okay, thank you. So there are 2 things. Number one is that there were two people that were arrested, Maron Banda and Given Piri. Even up to the time I was arrested in 2023, I had no phone number for Maron Banda. I had never met Maron Banda. I had zero knowledge of Maron Banda. There was a gentleman, Potiphar Gwai, the third person. They thought I was also behind the procurement of the chemicals by Potiphar Gwai. I had never met Potiphar Gwai and had no contact for Potiphar Gwai. The only person I could talk to who had the number in 2020 was Given Piri. But you need to understand that I was a political advisor. So I had a lot of numbers for different political party members. So Given Piri was just one of them. And Given Piri,
are these PF members?
No, Given Piri. Potiphar Gwai is a professional nurse. He's a civil servant. And I only knew him today, this year when we were arrested together. So Given Piri, yes, was a PF member. He comes from Petauke. He's somebody who knows the village for the former president, and they have some relations. So that's a person I knew. And I used to contact and talk to different PF members across the country. So my phone, at some point, had a lot of numbers for PF members, both provincial members, district officials, constituency officials, ward officials, and at national level, even members of Central Committee. I used to talk to them. That was my job. So the fact that Given Piri was found in Petauke and was purportedly found with some chemicals, they had to create a link when they charged him that I was involved this year. But you discover that, you see, when they were asked to provide actual evidence of how I sponsored, because sponsorship or aiding is maybe some form of resources.
What again, just for the sake of clarity, what really happened in terms of chemicals that were found with Potiphar Gwai? How do we connect Marlon Banda, Given Piri, and then trace this back to yourself? What chemicals were found?
So this is the way they had presented the charges. Marlon Banda and Given Piri, according to the facts they presented, were arrested in Isinda, not Petauke, in Isinda, in 2020. And according to the police officers, these are the two who are found with the chemicals. And according to them, later on, they ended up starting to provide evidence that no, in fact, for them to be found with chemicals, Potiphar Gwai, who is a nurse by profession, procured and gave them. But they could not provide that evidence. And according to them, because when they went through the phone for Given Piri, they found my number. And indeed, they said, no, then it means that that political advisor is also involved. That's how they linked me. Now, I want to put on record, Given Piri made it very clear that he gave the police officers in Sinda my number to say I cannot be a gasser when he was arrested, because I have come from Petauke, I am related to the former president, and therefore you can contact his political advisor to confirm that I can't do this. So before the arrest of 2023, Given Piri was arrested in 2020. Exactly.